over. Hillary Clinton won Iowa. Let's be good sports, right? Let's be good sports. There's still some questions in terms of how ridiculous Iowa caucusing is. It is rather ridiculous. Let's just be realistic. Anything that has to be, anything that determines the direction of our nation that must be decided with the flip of a coin toss. That's a bit absurd. Nevertheless, Hillary Clinton just eked by what, 0.3 percentage points. And so I'm going to give Hillary Clinton a hand out of being a good sport. Now, that being said, that being done, she barely won. Let's just be real. Let's be realistic. Here's an interesting narrative that developed this morning. The spin game, the game of spinning, is a beautiful art. I love it. The reason I love it is because I can always unpack it like that. I smell propaganda and spin like bacon in the morning or something, like a fresh pot of coffee in the morning. I can smell propaganda. The spin that came out of this was, well, this is the Bernie Sanders' camp. And Bernie Sanders supporters are so disingenuous and such poor losers that they can't recognize history, that Hillary Clinton is the first woman to ever win the Iowa primary caucuses. And they could just say, congratulations, Hillary, instead of being spoiled. Yeah, that's the narrative that has come out. Then there was this other guy, right? This other guy, let me see if I can find his tweet, who basically said that, oh, here's another guy off of Twitter. You have these Twitter heroes that have been in the game for a very long time. And by the game, I mean, they've been on social media for a very long time. So they have relatively large followings. And one guy said, when you can barely get more, or rather, when you don't get as many energetic voters out as Barack Obama, you can't call it a revolution. Well, turnout wasn't just a Bernie Sanders problem last night, which, interesting enough, if I can go on a tangent before I give my retort to that statement, Hillary Clinton was on MSNBC with Harbaugh with Chris Matthews, and she called it a record turnout because she knows that if the turnout was lower, it was in her benefit. So she just outright says it was a record turnout, which it wasn't. 2008 was a record turnout of 240,000 people, Democratic caucus goers for Barack Obama. 2016 was not a record turnout. I think the final number was around 180,000, give or take 10,000. I forgot what it was, but it was nowhere near 240,000. But that didn't keep Hillary Clinton from saying that this was a record turnout, because that counters the narrative that she benefits from a low turnout, which she did. The turnout was low. If a few more apathetic college students would have got off their butts, and a few more revolutionary older people would have gotten off their butts and went and caucused for what are they called? They're called delegate equivalents. 4 delegate equivalents separated Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. So if just 4 delegate equivalents had gotten off their butts and went and showed up for Bernie Sanders, she would not have won. Turnout should be, across the board, a Democratic Party concern. However, low turnout benefited Hillary Clinton. Low turnout always benefits the establishment, because the establishment has people who are going to turn out no matter what. And so to counter that narrative, Hillary Clinton on Chris Matthews, who said a whole lot, but this is just the first thing, said that it was a record turnout. That's not true. But I want you to understand the reason she would say something like that is because she needs to fight back against this narrative that she benefits from low turnout, and she benefits the same way a conservative establishment candidate would benefit, which she does. But you can't have that narrative out there, because last night she declared, I am a progressive. Now, let me go all the way back to this guy, Shock, whatever his name is on her name. I don't know. They're fearless, but they always hide behind that avatar. They said you can't call it a revolution with low turnout. And you know what? You're right. You can't call it a revolution, but you sure as hell can't call it a coronation with that type of turnout. There's nothing to brag about in terms of how low the turnout was last night, except for the fact that it benefited Hillary Clinton. And anyone who benefits, I'm sorry, anyone who benefits from fewer debates and fewer lower turnouts is so entrenched in the establishment, the quintessential establishment representative candidate, that how can you ever believe they're going to do something other than what we currently have? All right, so that's just the opener. I just thought that was so blatantly a lie, right? There was no record turnout, but it was beneficial for her to say that it was, because everyone knows she benefited from a low turnout. That is political spin 101. And that's what they did all day long yesterday, today, all day today. Really, it was, Bernie Sanders. He's a spoiled sport. He won't declare, he won't award Hillary Clinton and concede. And you know what? Here's the other thing I realized. Whenever you don't do something that your opponent thinks you should do, maybe because you're just a tad bit smarter than they think you should be, whenever you don't do exactly what they say, whenever you show you have enough backbone to stand on your own accord and make your own decisions, they call you arrogant. And this is the narrative this is the second narrative that's being spun for Bernie Sanders, is that he's some type of arrogant old white man. We'll talk about the white privilege in a second, but right now it's just his arrogance. How dare Bernie Sanders not agree to these debates that Hillary Clinton all of a sudden wants? And this is the new narrative, that now he's playing a game. Now he wants to, now Bernie Sanders wants to suppress, you guys stand by. I've got a bucket nearby. Bernie Sanders wants to suppress debate, when since the very beginning of them saying we are only going to have 6 debates, Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley have both been yelling at the top of their lungs, along with their supporters, we should have more debates. All of a sudden, he pulls within striking distance in Iowa, and now all of a sudden they want to have an Iowa town hall. Not a debate, but a town hall. He's up 20 points in New Hampshire. Now they want to have a New Hampshire town hall and a debate. And now she wants to have a debate inside of Flint, Michigan, but she doesn't want to have one in New York, in her own the city, not the New York City, where she represented as a senator, which it really matter. She statewide as a senator. But anyway, you get the point. She only wants to have these debates in places that are electorally beneficial to her, which is a smart play. I'm not insulting Hillary Clinton for making a smart political play, but do not insult our intelligence when we call you on your shenanigans, right? When we can see your political play. We don't have to go along with that just so that you could pat us on the back and say, wow, you're so not arrogant. You're such a good candidate. Thank you for acquiescing to the thing that's going to help me beat you. It doesn't work like that. But because Bernie Sanders has said the only way I'll debate is if we agree to even more debates. We don't want to debate in Michigan after the primary in Michigan. We want to debate in Michigan before the primaries. We don't want to skip over New York. We don't want to skip over California. We want to debate just like it should have been before Debbie Wasserman Schultz arbitrarily decided that we're going to cut it down to just 6. Because at the time, the conventional wisdom was if we only have 6 debates, it won't hurt Hillary Clinton as much. Now that we see it did hurt Hillary Clinton, now all of a sudden they want to change the game. And because Bernie Sanders, I know I'm being redundant, but I want to make sure this seeps in. Because Bernie Sanders has decided not to acquiesce to their demands, to something that's going to benefit her and not him, he has more to lose in New Hampshire because he's already up in New Hampshire. Hillary Clinton wants to close the gap in New Hampshire or possibly take over in New Hampshire. So, of course, she wants to have more debates. But because Bernie Sanders is actually intelligent enough, I think a kindergartner is intelligent enough to realize that she's only doing this because she's behind and she does not want to agree to any other debates that would give Bernie Sanders an advantage, but he must agree to debates that's going to give her an advantage because he's doing what is in his best interest. He is somehow arrogant. And that, my friends, is political spin 102. I would say that's sophomore level political spin. Then the next political spin.